स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। Bowing down at the feet of the Lord, namaskars to all of you. We shall begin our meditation on the Bhagavad Gita by chanting 2 verses on the meditation of Bhagavad Gita. Om Parthaya Pratibodhita Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Grathitam Puranamunina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Amba Tvam Anusandadhami Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshinim Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Om Namo Narayanaya. We shall today continue the discussion which we had stopped in the last session, whereby we were looking into the situation where Arjuna has been brought to the battlefield and is placed, the chariot has been placed in between the 2 armies by Lord Krishna. Now, very peculiarly we see that Lord Krishna has placed the chariot in front of the important people on the Kaurava side, that is Bhishma and Drona Pramukataha. Then we saw Arjuna telling, Drishtvevam Swajanam Krishna Yuyutsum Samupastitam Sidanti Mama Gatrani. Why is he telling that? Because he saw his own relatives, his own kith and kin, Tatra Apashyan Sthitan Partha Pitrinata Pitamahan Acharyan Matulan Bhratrun. Tatra, now he saw his own grandsires, grandfather, teachers, equal to their fathers, his brothers. So seeing all of them, Shvashuran Suhrudas Chaiva Senayoru Bhayorapi, then what happened? Tan Samiksha Sakaunteya Sarvan Bandhun Avasthitan kripaya paraya vishto vishidan idam abbraveet. Responding to Lord Krishna's call, Arjuna saw all his relatives stationed in both armies. They were Bhishma, Somadatta, Bahlika, and teachers like Dronacharya, Kripacharya, maternal uncles like Purujit, Kunti Bhoja, and Shalya, father-in-laws Drupada and Shaibya, brothers Yudhishthira, Karna, and the rest, cousins Duryodhana and his brothers, sons and nephews Abhimanyu, Prativindhya, Ghatotkaja, Lakshmana, and others. Besides, there were a host of friends and playmates of early youth. Now, instead of seeing in the battlefield where he has come to the Dharma Yuddha, the war of righteousness, to establish righteousness, instead of seeing the warriors, he started seeing his own relatives. Arjuna saw relatives, not warriors. No soldiers can afford to think of his personal ties at the 0 hour of the battle. His attention and concentration ought to be on the strategies of the battle, not on the personal relationship. This faulty approach to the situation led him to the mental collapse, incapacitating him from carrying out his obligatory duty as a warrior. Now, while Vyasacharya, who has composed Mahabharata, in which he has placed this Bhagavad Gita, he uses the term Tan Samikshasa Kaunteya. All the other time he was calling Arjuna as Mahabaho, Gudakesha, the controller of the sleep, the great armed one, and so many other beautiful epithets. Suddenly he is calling him as Kaunteya. What is that? Kaunteya means the son of Kunti. Why is it? He, the son of Kunti, seeing all these kinsmen thus standing, filled with deep pity, utter this in sorrow. Arjuna is referred to in this verse as Kaunteya, Kunti's son, son of Kunti. See, different words, epithets are used for Krishna and Arjuna. So there is some meaning in it. Why has that name been used here? Just in earlier 2 other verses or earlier to these we have seen, Arjuna is addressed as Partha. So son of Pruta, again the son of Kunti. Pruta means another name for Kunti. The choice of names of Arjuna and Krishna is significant throughout this text. Now, the familial name reminds one of Arjuna's current involvement in his relationship and his consequent emotional weakness. How are we connected to our family? Through our mother. So now, calling Arjuna as Kaunteya, Vyasacharya is reminding us, see, everything there is some significance. Now, Arjuna is collapsing emotionally because now he is connecting himself not as a warrior where he has to perform his duty, but through his mother he is connecting, and father is getting connected to the relatives. So there starts the attachment, the weakness, and all the problems starts now. See, even the word, usage of the word is so significant here. Kaunteya. The familial name reminds one of Arjuna's current involvement. You are the son of Kunti. So, it is reminding us the involvement in his relationship and his consequent emotional weakness. The expected reference to Arjuna at the crucial hour of the battle would have been to any one of his martial epithets such as Mahabaho, mighty armed, or Parantapa, scorcher of the foes, enemies. Though a misnomer, in the context. Kaunteya serves to indicate the mental state of the warrior Arjuna in behaving more as a child than as a warrior on the battlefield. The verse also states that Arjuna saw his kinsman standing there. The choice of the word kinsman, bandhu. So the word bandhu, last time I explained to you what is the meaning of bandhu, bandhana, which causes us attachment. Bandhu means which causes us attachment. Rope, with the rope we are tied down to those people, attachment. So your happiness, your sorrow, everything depends upon so many other people, we are tied down to them, bandhu. That's why that word bandhu indicates Arjuna's wrong approach to the situation. The battlefield is no place for a soldier, a warrior, to view his opponents as his relatives and friends. This distorted vision plunged Arjuna into a state of deep pity and sorrow. Deep pity at the thought of the inevitable doom of his near and dear ones in the impending Holocaust. Sorrow born out of excessive attachment to his fellow beings. These qualities are unbecoming of a warrior, particularly one of Arjuna's caliber. Now you will see the real Bhagavad Gita unfolding. So we shall go to the details where we had last left and get to that, connected to that teachings of Bhagavad Gita. Now last time we had seen the description of all the relatives, why those words were there, why did they bring the name Pitru, here the plural, and then all the other things we discussed in detail in the last class. Now we shall go to see what is the meaning of that verse in detail and how can we get connected with that shloka. So always, first I will take you through the simple meaning. Then after that, I will go to the word-to-word meaning and the grammatical text, the point of it. Then after that, we have to connect that meaning of the verse to our life. Then only it becomes useful in the study of Bhagavad Gita. So now, in that verse which we discussed now, Tan Samikshya, Arjuna saw the faces of the warriors on the opposite side, Kaurava side. Personally, he saw that very closely. What happened now when he saw their faces? A total transformation took place in his personality. And what is that transformation? Kripaya paraya vishtaha. Kripaya paraya avishtaha. In Sanskrit meaning, Arjuna was overpowered by attachment. Here, the word kripa is used, meaning compassion. So you should not take that word here as compassion. Why is it? Kripa just does not mean compassion, even though the literal meaning of kripa is compassion. Compassion is the virtue or the quality of God and a realized soul, gnani. Only a gnani who is realized, who doesn't have attachment, he can show compassion. God can show compassion. But we who are attached to this world, we can't show compassion. It is attachment. I will give you the difference between compassion or love and attachment. After some time, I will take you deeply into that. Compassion is the virtue of a realized soul, gnani. Compassion doesn't bind a person, it doesn't create bondage. Therefore, compassion is a virtue, but attachment is a weakness. It's not a virtue, it is a weakness. Compassion belongs to gnani, the realized soul, man of wisdom, and attachment belongs to agnani, man of ignorance. Here, Arjuna has not realized God or his Atman or the true self. He is just like any other worldly person. That's why I told you earlier, the epithet was used for Arjuna as Dhananjaya. Dhanam Jayati. He has won over all the wealth, whatever. He was so handsome, he was very strong. He has won over so many warriors. He was expert in all kind of vidyas. He had won over so much of wealth. So all the thing to be successful in life has been now won over by him. That's why the term Dhananjaya. But what is the use? At the time of crisis, now he will collapse. He's won everything physically, he has won everything intellectually, but he has not controlled himself intellectually. Only he has controlled. Emotionally, he has not controlled. Now, emotions take him over. That's why earlier days, when we were very young, in the school and colleges and in the other interview, they would always see in the children what is that IQ, intelligent quotient. But later on they came to know that's not enough. So the next was emotional quotient, EQ. How can you control failure? See, we have all been trained all the time. Even now we train our children for only success. Has anybody trained their children for failures? Anytime? Never. Life is not a bed of roses. Always, most of the time you get difficulties, problems. If you don't teach your children and yourself how to face failures and troubles, what is the use? Because 70% of your life is full of problems. So now if you don't train yourself, so that's what now Bhagavad Gita will make you firm in these things, how you can stabilize your mind. Emotionally, how can you be strong? That is the thing. In the second chapter, the whole of the discussion Krishna gives is Sthita Prajna, man of steady wisdom, who will not be disturbed by any emotions. Sthita Pragnasya Kavasha Samadhistasya Keshava Sitadihi Kim Prabhasheta Kimasita Vrajeta Kim. Arjuna asks the questions there in the second chapter. How does he behave? What is the character of a man of steady wisdom, perfected soul? So who will not be shaken by any ups and downs. So now, how to become emotionally strong? Emotional quotient is very, very important. So the rest of Bhagavad Gita is that teaching whereby it will make us emotionally strong. We will not be disturbed by emotions. But nowadays, what do the people and the people in the big companies ask? Not IQ, much of it, not EQ also. Now, the talk of the town is SQ. What is SQ? Spiritual quotient. If you have that in control only, emotional quotient, then all the other things will be under your control. That's why I always give you the example. Many times in my talk, I give the example of, one of the CEOs of one company, the Chinese company called Alibaba. Jack Ma, he used to tell, what is that? If you throw bananas and money in front of the monkey, what will the monkey choose? Banana, not the money. Why? Because the monkey doesn't know that by money you can buy more bananas. It will choose only bananas. So Jack Ma stopped here. I continue with this. If you throw bananas, money, and health, most of the tamasic people will choose only up to money, banana, money, because they do not know with good health they can earn more money, then they can eat more bananas. Then still further I continue now. But if you throw, now people have become health conscious. So they exercise, they get good health, they go to the doctors, everything. But if you go further, if you throw banana, money, health, and spirituality, people will select only up to health now, not spirituality. They do not know by strong spiritual life, you can have good health, good emotions, and good, what you call, digestive power by which you can eat more bananas. So the topmost is spiritual power. That's why Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita takes you through all the rest from this. After the second chapter will be teaching about yourself, Atman, Paramatman, God and other things, whereby when you stabilize in the spiritual quotient, then all the things automatically will be taken care of. Now we'll go deeper because these are all very important for our life. Because our life is full of emotions everywhere, wherever you go, in the family, in the offices, or wherever you work, your boss or your subordinates, it is all full of emotions. Emotions and emotions, nothing else. So that's why Bhagavad Gita is so dear to us, because everywhere it connects to our life. Every shloka you can take the meaning and connect to your life and get the benefit out of it. Let us now go deeper and deeper. See, the word used, kripaya avishtaha. Kripaya is not compassion. Compassion belongs to Agnani and attachment belongs to Agnani, man of ignorance. Here Arjuna happens to be Agnani, even though he is Dhananjaya, successful in everything. But one small problem now, collapsed. You will see how you will collapse now after a few of the shlokas. Therefore, kripa should be translated as ragaha. Raga means attachment. Therefore, ragena avishtaha. He was overpowered by attachment, emotion. So here also, it is not the emotion that he took upon himself, but he is not the master of the emotion. But the emotion has become his master. They are controlling us. Just the milligrams of some hormones are controlling us. Some enzymes which are lifeless are controlling us, who are the Parabrahma Swarupa, who have the infinite energy in us, is controlled by instincts. What a irony, what a fate. See, we have infinite strength within us, but milligrams of hormones and enzymes are controlling us. We are controlled by them. See, emotions are controlling us. We have to control them. They are controlling us. See, there is a Japanese saying which I have read long back. What is that? First, the man takes the drink. Drink is alcohol. Then the drink takes the drink. Then the drink takes the man. See, drink, the alcohol addiction will control this human being. He becomes a slave of all these things. So here, he is not controlling the emotion. On the contrary, the emotion is controlling Arjuna. The greatest of the warrior, Savyasachi, Maharati, could go and fight with Lord Shiva and got Pashupatastra. But one emotion, he couldn't win. One attachment, he has lost, he has become a slave. Ragaha avishtaha. So here also it is not emotion that took himself. He is not the master of the emotion, but the emotion became his master. A gnani, a realized soul or a man of wisdom, entertains emotions. So should we not have emotions? Should we not have anger? Should we not have karuna? Should we not have these emotions? Yes, you should have it. But a realized soul, man of wisdom, man of intelligence, will have emotions but will be under his control. Should have emotions. Not that you should be like a stone-hearted. You should have emotions, but you should be under your control. You should not be under the control of the emotions. So a gnani, a man of realized soul entertains the emotion as a master, whereas a gnani, man of ignorance, is a slave of emotions. Once some disturbance with with your subordinates or with the boss or with your wife or with your husband or with your children, see, you fight, and after that for weeks together, for months together, you are disturbed. You can't bring back your mind to control. You are disturbed so much. Just one anger, one disturbance, one emotion disturbs you for life. Hatred, jealousies will continue even after life. Even the person is dead, still you have that anger and jealousy. See, some emotions are controlling you. So what a fate. So for a realized soul, emotion is an action willfully, consciously entertained, whereas for Agnani, ignorant man, emotion is a reaction. It's a reflex action. It is not under his control. It's a reflex action. And this Vyasacharya indicates by using the word avishtaha, means he was overpowered. Arjuna was overpowered. That is why many people ask the question, Swamiji, after all, anger is very useful emotion to control or discipline our children, our wife or our husband or our subordinates or our other people. Should we not use it? We should use anger. Many people will tell, should we then give up anger? Master also, Ramakrishna also tells in the gospel, yes, you should hiss, you should not bite. You should hiss, you should not bite. But have you that control over the anger and other emotions? No. So here, many people argue in favor of anger because, Swamiji, without getting angry, servants do not obey, children do not obey, nobody listens to us. What do you know? You are somewhere in the ashrama. We have to live in the samsara family. We know the difficulty. We have to get angry. How can we be without anger? People ask this question. The answer is yes. If anger is a tool for you, an instrument, if you are using that anger, if it is under your control, yes, you are free to take it at will and you will be able to drop it at will. But you cannot drop it at will. Can you postpone anger? I will use it tomorrow, not today. Can you? No. So if you can use it as an instrument, all these emotions, wonderful, please entertain it. But you can't use it as an instrument or a tool. It overpowers you. That's why you can see Arjuna, Kripaya Avishtaha, he has been overpowered. Therefore, please ask the question, can you drop anger at will or any emotions? Can I postpone the reaction at will? And if a person says, yes, I am the master, please have it, use it. Nobody can stop you. Anger is a tool in your hand. Therefore, we find we do not have anger, but anger overpowers us. This is the difference between a realized soul, Gnani, and a Agnani. One is the master of emotion, another is the slave of emotion. And Arjuna also is now Kripaya Vishtaha, overpowered by fundamental problem of samsara known as Ragaha. We all know that the guru of Alexander, when he came to India, he had asked him to bring 5 things, it seems. Ganga water, the soil of India, because his guru knew the greatness of India, Bhagavad Gita and other things. One more important thing he wanted Alexander to bring to him, to Greece was, Greek, the country was, a Gnani, realized soul, a saint. All the other thing is very easy to get, but how to get a realized soul to Greek? He met one person during the conquest and other fight. He met a realized soul who was happy always, and he was in his own thing. He went and asked, he could, by the talk he could know he's a Gnani, realized soul. Please come to my country. My guru wants to bring you to my country. I am happy here. Why should I come to your country? I will be here. Do you know who I am? Whoever you may be. I'm not going to come. I'll stay here. I will give you all the riches and other thing. Tempted him now. And told, if you don't come, I'm going to kill you. He laughed, you can kill me. How can you kill me? I'm the Paramatma Swarupa, Atma Swarupa, which the fire cannot burn, the sword cannot cut. That was the joke of this thing. I told Millennium, you can't kill me. He doesn't have fear at all because he identifies not with the body, with the Atman. So where is fear? I told, yes, you can't kill me. You know who I am? I'm Alexander. I have won the whole universe. What? You have won the whole world. You have not won over your mind. Your own emotions, you have not won your, controlled your mind. How can you win the world? How can you be called as an emperor? So, see, what is the use of winning the whole world when you have not won over your own mind and senses? What is the use of going to the moon when you can't walk properly on the ground here? Somebody was, he was a, what do you call? Khagola Shastragna. Khagola Shastragna means an astronomer. Watching always the stars and moons and sky and watching and studying. While walking, he fell down and got hurt, maybe fractured. Why? There was some pit. He fell down into the pit. Then somebody told, before becoming a Khagola Shastragna, please become a Bhugola Shastragna. You study the earth before you study the sky. First you should study the earth. You should stabilize your feet. Then only you can become a Khagola Shastragna. So before becoming a astronomer, please learn to become a geologist or a geography. Learn the geography. That's very important. So here, control. Learn to live on the earth. Control your emotions. Now, we will enter in a beautiful subject. I have discussed about it many, many times, but I will take you through. It's very, very important. What is that? Basic human problems. Everybody has the problems, basic human. Then what is this basic human problem? Universal problem. Yeah, irrespective of nationality, irrespective of religion, caste, education, sex, age, or whichever ashrama you are in, irrespective of all the superficial human differences, the basic problem of all the human being is common. And this does not belong to any particular time of history also. 10,000 back, the problem was the same. Now the problem is same. If you live long enough after 10,000 years, this problem will be the same. So that's why I call it as basic human problems. This problem is a human problem. At any time of history, this was faced by Arjuna maybe some 30,000, 40,000 years back. And we are also facing, and we will be facing in the next century too, even after 10,000 years, if the human beings are going to survive, we will continue to have this problem. And therefore, I call this as basic or fundamental problems, which our scriptures calls as samsara. What is samsara? Not this world. Samsara means samyak sarati iti samsara. Transmigratory existence. It always changes. Transmigratory. Samsara. So this samsara is the bhavaroga. The first purpose of the first chapter is to teach us what is this samsara or this disease, the bhavaroga. Why should Vyasa, the great Rishi, describe the samsara, the disease, in the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita? Because the rest of all the Bhagavad Gita chapter is a remedy for this disease. The first chapter now is, we have come to the disease now. Arjuna has succumbed to the disease. You saw that just now. Attachment. So we will go deeper and see what is this remedy afterwards. While we are studying, first we should know the disease. Suppose you do not know, if you think that you are healthy, you don't have the disease, then you will not go to the doctor, you will not take the medicines. First you should know what the disease I have. Then only I can go to the doctor and appreciate the medicine and get healthy. I will know the value of health. So that's why in the first chapter, Vyasa is teaching you the bhavaroga, the samsara, the disease. So how can you call this as disease? Why do you call this world as a disease? Vyasacharya, we can call not disease, it's a, you can even go further and call it a syndrome. Not disease, group of diseases, syndrome. Okay. How? Vyasa points out that samsara, or this world, is a combination of 3 diseases. It's a syndrome, not a one problem. 3 diseases. What are they? First one is ragaha. What is raga? Attachment. What is the second disease? Shokaha. Due to attachment, you get sorrow. See, the whole of name of the first chapter. Do you remember? Anybody? Can you tell the name of the first chapter? Arjuna Vishada Yoga. What is Vishada? Sorrow, grief, melancholy. So, attachment, ragaha, leads to shokaha. Then what is the next disease? That leads to shoka, leads to mohaha, delusion. These are the 3 diseases. The whole you deduce, what is that in algebra? What is that? Simplification. You simplify this whole world. What is in algebra? What is the value is x and y only. It will boil down to x and y. So if you boil down this whole of samsara, this world, you get only these 3. Ragaha, attachment. Shokaha, sorrow. Then in that sorrow, fear, everything is included. Then what is that? Third one is delusion, mohaha. So these are the 3 diseases. How? Let us go still deeper because it's very interesting. See, what is this raga? How can we understand about this raga or attachment? In Hindustani classical music and Carnatic classical music, we have raga. Is that Malkon's raga? No, not that raga. Here the Vedantic raga means attachment. What is attachment? We all hear about attachment and detachment and so many this thing. We don't understand what is attachment. What is attachment meant by attachment? Attachment means emotional dependence, psychological addiction is called ragaha. We got it intellectually a little. Can you go a little further and expand what is attachment? What is meant by emotional dependence? What is meant by psychological addiction? Now, we shall confuse many times this emotional disturbance with that ragaha, with compassion and love. I told you then. We call it as love towards our kith and kin. So we should know the difference between true love and attachment. Otherwise, we will be always confused with this. So let us now understand what is the difference between love and attachment. Ragaha and premaha. Prema and raga. Okay, what is the difference? Which is very, very similar. They are very closer emotions. While attachment is very much criticized in the Bhagavad Gita and in Vedanta, love or bhakti or prema is very much glorified in Vedanta. Bhagavad Gita glorifies it. So you should not confuse emotion with or attachment with prema or love, true love. While attachment, raga, is present as a trait of this world, samsara, love, true love, is presented as the trait and characteristic of a liberated, saintly person, gnani. I told you the difference earlier, okay? First difference. They must be differentiated clearly now. Vedanta and our scriptures and Bhagavad Gita is against attachment. Whereas they are for love, true love. Vedanta is all for true love. But how do you differentiate attachment and love? The first difference is attachment is based on selfishness. Love is based on unselfishness, selflessness. So you can differentiate now, you see. Okay? Selfishness and selflessness. I am emotionally hooked or dependent on some people or some things. I'm attached, I'm emotionally dependent, holding on to a person based on selfishness, which means all the time I think, what do I get from that person or what do I get from that thing? I'm not bothered about the other person. Whether your wife will be happy, your children will be happy, whether your husband will be happy, whether your subordinates and the workers will be happy. No, you are not. How shall I be happy is the only soul, this thing. So you depend upon those people because of that. So selfishness, that is attachment. That's why I told you, emotionally, psychologically, depending upon some people or some things is attachment. Okay, now you thought that what you came to know what is selfishness of that portion of the attachment. I always think of what do I get from that person or that thing or that relationship. I'm not at all bothered about what the other person get of this relationship, whether it is wife, husband or children. Possessiveness, that is attachment. Okay? Either I do not care for the other person at all. I'm always interested in my happiness. And for the sake of my happiness, when I'm emotionally dependent upon a person or a thing, the selfish leaning, that selfish dependence is called attachment. Okay? You are now getting a little by little, you are understanding what is the difference and what is attachment. Whereas love, true love, is totally different relationship. It is based on selflessness, where I'm not going to emphasize very much on what I get out of it, but I'm interested in the welfare of other people too. I will just give one example, my personal example. And also another thing which happened. What is that personal example? At the age of 19, I wanted to become a monk, to join the Ramakrishna Ashram. So generally in our tradition in Ramakrishna Ashram, we have to get the permission of the mother. That's the tradition. I went, fell at the feet of my mother, bowed down, and I asked, Mother, I want to become a monk. I want to join the Ramakrishna order. I want to take your blessings. Please permit me to go. Do you know what was the answer of my mother? This happened maybe some 36 or 37 years back. The words of my mother is still ringing in my ears. What is that? My dear child, whether you will become a monk or a householder is not my concern. My dear child, whether you will be living with me here or we will be living in the monastery or somewhere else is not my concern. My paramount interest is wherever you are, you should be happy. Wherever you are, whatever you be, you should be happy. Your happiness is important. I don't want that you should live with me always or live in the monastery or somewhere, wherever you are, whatever you are, you should be happiness. Your happiness is my... Okay, that's one example. Another example. After my joining the monastery, I was looking through one newspaper. In that it was written, the border of Maharashtra and Karnataka, one incident happened. What was that? Parents, father and mother, as a son is growing up. He was studying in the engineering college. He fell in love with some girl. In India, this caste system is very strong. So she belonged to some other caste. Then he came to ask permission from the parents to get married to her. Then they refused. Which caste does she belong to? Some other caste. No, we won't permit. Our family traditions, we can't permit. So after much thinking, this boy wanted to elope with that girl and go away, run away. While they were trying to, they were caught. So what did they do? The parents, they locked him up in a room. And they were under his control. They were doing everything. Again, he tried to escape and run away. Then this time, what did the parents do? They chained him in the room. In a big room, they had a very big mansion-like thing. They were very rich. With all the money power and the muscle power and the gundas, they caught hold of him and put him inside a room and chained him. And what did they do? The mother used to go every day, feed him, bathe him, change the clothes. Everything the mother used to do, father, everybody, everything, serve him. But he would be in chains. He would not be let out. For 11 years they were like that. Somehow the neighbors came to know about him. He became almost half mad. And they reported it to the police. Then the police had to force entry inside and release him. He was taken to the mental asylum and he was treated. Then somehow what happened is not secondary. After that is secondary. But this is also love to the child. They treated him, they served him, they gave him the food, they dressed him. Do you call this love? Yes. Naturally, we call that love. Possessiveness. It was not in the welfare and the happiness of the child, but their own possessiveness, happiness was important. Do you call that love? Attachment. Possessiveness. My happiness is important, not the happiness of the person whom you love. So true love is in the happiness of the others. Unselfishness. Attachment is, what do I get out of it, out of the relationship or out of the thing? So now we have come to know what is the difference between attachment, because I am going through the details, because now Arjuna is slumping here. The way he talks to Krishna, he will start advising Krishna. Oh Krishna, they are our relatives, how can we kill them? It is better to go to the forest, I will become a sannyasin. He is telling, I will give up all my food, how can I kill them? He will advise Krishna. Now you will see the rest. That's why before that I have to make you understand what is attachment, the difference. Otherwise you will also fall into that same trap. And you will think Krishna is wrong and Arjuna is right. You will start feeling. So before that I have to differentiate this and make you understand. Then you will understand well what Krishna is telling. Okay, what is the next distinct difference? Yes. Attachment or raga is always in the form of taking. What do I get? Taking. Then what about love? Is always in the form of giving. Attachment, taking. What? Taking. Giving. So that is another difference. I hold on to things and situation and people for taking something, getting something, whereas love is something which is based on giving and sacrifice. It is based on sacrifice. One is in the form of taking, another in the form of giving. Thirdly, attachment is always conditional. Not thirdly, fifth, this thing. That as long as I am going to be benefited by that relationship or from that person or that thing, as long as I am comfortable, I hold on to that. The moment I am not comfortable, I drop that relationship or that thing like a hot potato. When you put in hot potato into your mouth, what will you do? You'll swallow it, is it? Throw it. Likewise, if you are not comfortable with that situation, see, there was a beautiful saying by one saint. What is that? Why do you get married? For happiness. Why do you get divorced? For happiness. Why do you get remarriage? Happiness. But you don't get it at all. Why? Because of selfishness. What do I get? What do I get? I'm always concerned about what do I get. That's why you get only unhappiness. See, so here, love is based on unconditional thing. It is unconditional. Attachment is conditional. Love is unconditional. And next, attachment invariably comes from a weak mind. Love comes from Strong mind, which can forgive, which can sacrifice, a strong mind. So many differences, you see. Therefore, attachment is born out of weakness, whereas love is not born out of weakness, but it comes from strength and fullness. And finally, in the attachment, the intellect is clouded. In love, clarity, it's not clouded. The final and the last of this thing is attachment. Intellect is clouded, and therefore attachment will lead to, because the intellect is clouded, attachment will lead to violation of dharma, righteousness. You will do sinful things, then get into problems. But in love, there will be no violation of dharma. You will do only the righteous thing. See what a wonderful thing. Because the intellect is sane and clear, therefore it will never lead him to violation of dharma. These are the main differences between attachment and love. While love is a sign of freedom, attachment is a sign of bondage. And therefore, attachment is presented as the basic disease of this samsara. So, you have come to know, at least to some extent, of what is attachment, because we have to now face the attachment of Arjuna. What let us have attachment? We have been having all these. What is going to happen? Because attachment or raga leads to shoka, grief, sorrow, pain, misery, fear. Everything comes because of attachment. So you are getting so many answers, isn't it, to our basic problems of life. Why do we get fear? Why do we get miseries? Why do we get grief? Because of attachment. That is the byproduct or the product, important product, which is very natural. Now, I will give you an example. You are emotionally depending upon some person or a thing. Suppose that person will die or will get disease and is going to die, or will ditch you in between and go away. What happens? Pain, fear. When they get the disease, what will happen now? Why? Because of attachment. If you had true love, that would not have happened. So, opposite of example. Just with one example, suppose now you have broken your leg or something, you have an accident. What do? You walk on crutches. That is attachment. Crutches. You are walking on crutches. Suppose somebody takes away the crutch, what will happen? You will fall down. But some other people also hold a walking stick. What is that? While you are walking in the morning in the park, you will hold one stick and you will be rotating it and going like this. You will have an attachment, but it is only for some show. You will have an umbrella or something while walking. You will be walking like this. For while walking, if the dog comes to chase it, you will keep it. But even if that stick falls, you will not fall down because you are not attached to it, dependent upon it. You are not psychologically dependent upon it. So we have to use all the emotions and all the relationship in such a way that even if it goes away, you should not have that pain and misery and fear. That comes only by spiritual quotient, by the knowledge of your Atman, knowledge of God, by realizing God. Imagine another person who goes with a baton, a stick without leaning on it. We can see early morning several people going to the work. They do not lean on that crutch or the stick. Now they hold it, but they do not lean on it. So marry, have children, wife, husband, have big companies, but do not lean psychologically, emotionally, do not depend upon that. Even if it falls or goes, you will not be concerned or afraid, or you will not have fear. That is detachment. So I gave you the example. Even if it is not, nothing is going to happen. Similarly, attachment is a psychological crutch which will make me psychologically flat, frustrated, disappointed, in fact, shocked when the object of dependence, person of dependence, goes away from me. And unfortunately, whatever object I depend upon psychologically is impermanent. Any people or any thing which you depend upon psychologically or emotionally, all of them invariably are impermanent. They will not be with you permanently. So, naturally you will get into grief and fear. You have to. Is there any other go? So, shoka is packed there already to you. Grief is already packed there for you. Whatever I am psychologically leaning, whether a person or a thing, is impermanent. That means anytime in future I am going to lose that, making me or leaving me high and dry. And therefore, Vedanta asks the question, what preparation have you made? One or the other day, everything will collapse. Now, have you made preparations for that? In the beginning of the life itself, you'll have so many insurance, security, PF fund, all for your old age. Isn't it? You make so much of preparation. But have you made any preparation? Vedanta scriptures are asking, when this attachment falls, thing of attachment, have you done any preparation? That is what Bhagavad Gita will prepare you for. Krishna will prepare you now through all the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. But can you do that? Suppose your house, there is fire. At that time, will you go start digging the well, borehole for water to put it off? Or will you already be prepared for that? So when should you start the preparation? When we are young and early, you have to start the preparation. Not when you become old. Many people tell, hey, why do you go to Bhagavad Gita class? You can go after your eyes can't see and your tooth have all fallen. When you are very old, then you can go to Bhagavad Gita. Now you are young, go to the cinema, go to that other places. Why will you go to Bhagavad Gita? They will ask you. Now, that is very, very important. Vedanta, our scriptures, Bhagavad Gita. When will you do that preparation for this? We are not going to earn until we retire. And we know that the income source is going to go away after retirement. And therefore, we are preparing for old age by saving, by insurance, by mediclaim. All physical security we are preparing for. But psychological leaning and the consequent future loss, what preparation are we making? And as long as we do not prepare, our future is in danger. See, Arjuna now is going to collapse. And at least Krishna was there to help him. What help do you have and me have now? For him, Krishna was there to turn that grief and it became yoga. Arjuna, Vishada Yoga. For us, who is there to turn? Do we have the Guru? Do we have the Lord? Do we have somebody to lean upon? No. So what preparations are you making? So, because of the loss of the object of attachment, we get into grief or depression. The psychological depression a person faces is called shokaha, sorrow. And what Gita says is the preparation cannot be done when the problem comes. The preparation has to be done early. For old age, when do you prepare? Is it in the old age? No. From now itself, we have to prepare for the old age. Likewise, for this too, for the shoka, we have to prepare now. Therefore, we try to solve the problem of the old age, not in the old age, but when we are young. In the same way, when the object of attachment is lost, whatever pain will come, we can never solve that pain at that time, and therefore the preparation has to be made. When things around are comfortable, that is called farsightedness. So now, the psychological strengthening process, the psychological insurance should be when you are strong and young, when the things are good for you. Now, therefore, be farsighted, because every attachment is a potential sorrow. So, therefore, what is the second disease? Attachment. Born out of attachment is sorrow. Now, raga, shoka. What is the third disease now Vyasacharya is telling in this world? Mohaha, delusion. When there is attachment, when there is sorrow, consequent frustration or worry, the intellect does not function properly. When the clouded intellect takes decision, all the decisions will be wrong decisions. All the wrong decisions will appear as right decisions. And all the right decisions will appear as wrong decisions. That is called moha. That's called delusion. So now you came to know the three diseases in this samsara. What is that? Attachment. Sorrow leads to sorrow. That leads to delusion, moha. So what is next? So the inversion of the thing. What is that? Because you have the clouded perception, moha, delusion, which will lead to unrighteous way, adharmic way of life. Adharma will be seen as dharma and dharma will be seen as adharma. This delusion, this confusion is called moha and becomes a vicious cycle. Once I get clouded, once my vision is clouded, my actions will be wrong, and because of that the situation will be still worse again, because I will be worried and I will take wrong decisions. Like a chain reaction, the whole life will be a series of attachment, sorrow and moha. From moha again attachment, and more sorrow, more delusion. Vicious cycle. That is our life now. You can watch your life now. Analyze your mind, analyze your life. See, that's everybody the same thing. Just go and analyze. That's why I'm connecting it to our own life. Otherwise, what is the study of Bhagavad Gita? What is the use of studying Bhagavad Gita if you don't put it into practice and use it and connect it to our life? Go on analyzing, see your own life. It's a series of these things only. Chain reaction, vicious cycle. And person never gets out of this dependence. He will be shuffling the dependence from one object to other. Instead of working for freedom, he will be only changing from one dependence to other. Like a person who gives up smoking, takes up snuff or alcohol. From one dependence to another dependence. From one disease to another. This cycle of shuffling the disease and going from suffering to suffering is the basic human problem, which is known as this samsara, this world. And preventing this samsara, these three diseases, is the purpose of first chapter and whole of Bhagavad Gita. So, we have come to know something special. We will at least conclude now about what this shloka is trying to. So, Vyasacharya, he is telling that Arjuna is overpowered by emotion. That is why people ask the question, how can I now give up? Kripaya avishtaha, overpowered by the fundamental problems of samsara known as raga, attachment. Once a person is overpowered by attachment, his twin brother, the immediate consequence will be what is called vishidantam idam abravit. Vishidan idam abravit. Vishidam means grief or sorrow. Wherever there is attachment, there will be sorrow. So always attachment and sorrow are like two sides of the same coin, and the intensity of the sorrow will be directly proportional to the intensity of the attachment. And in the case of Arjuna, paraya kripaya, attachment was extremely intense, and therefore the sorrow also was extremely intense. Therefore, he finds a transformation. We find that Arjuna, so angry Arjuna, who wanted to put down adharma and kill the bad people, now became sorry Arjuna. Rational Arjuna has become emotional Arjuna. Soldier Arjuna, Kshatriya Arjuna has become a samsari Arjuna. This is the first stage of introduction. Because Gita comes, everyone has to go through the three stages. Soldier becoming samsari, samsari becoming disciple Arjuna. Soldier Arjuna has to get converted into now samsari Arjuna, who is with all these diseases. And then you will become disciple of the Lord or the Guru. Then you can get converted, transformed. Gita Shastra, the scripture, can begin, and this portion talking about the first conversion of the soldier into the samsari. And Vyasacharya cannot dramatize this conversion because it is only, the medium is just words, that's all. So he has used the word kripaya vishtaha. So now what happened? When this happened, when this thing, Now Arjuna is telling, O Krishna, Tan samikshasa kaunteya sarvan bandhun avastitan kripaya paraya vishtaha. What are the now things are happening to Arjuna? Sidanti mama gatrani. O Krishna, I can't stand, my hands, my legs are shivering. Arjuna uvacha drishtvevam svajanam Krishna yuyutsum samupastitam sidanti mama gatrani. O Arjuna, no, O Krishna, seeing my own kinsmen arrayed for battle here and intent on killing each other, my limbs are giving way and my mouth is drying up. Romaharsha vepatuscha sharire me, Romaharshascha jayate, Gandivam samsrate hastat, Tvakchaiva paridahyate, Nachashuk. I can't do anything, O Krishna. What is Arjuna now telling? His helplessness. His legs are shivering. My mouth is drying. My whole body shudders. My hair is standing on end. Butterflies in the stomach. My bow, the Gandiva, is slipping from my hand and my skin is burning all over. My mind is in quandary and whirling in confusion. I am unable to hold myself steady any longer. O Krishna, killer of the Keshi demon, I only see bad omen or misfortune. I do not foresee how any good can come from killing my own kinsman in this battle. Until now, was ready to fight and he didn't see any bad omen. See, weak people always go for astrologers. Bad omen. If some lizard make tick, tick, tick sound, they will tell, oh, bad omen, good omen. If the cat crosses, they will tell bad omen. But if a person of character, strength, he will not care for this. Arjuna was like that. Now he is telling bad omens. Inauspicious things are happening. He's telling Krishna, the Lord of all omens and auspiciousness, he's telling Krishna bad omen. When the Lord is there with you, what bad omen can touch you? He has become weak. So we will study that and we will continue our further studies because it's very helpful for us. Because we are all facing all these problems in our life. So it will be so beneficial, isn't it? The study of Bhagavad Gita will be very, very beneficial. We have now come to know our disease. Now we will go to the doctor called Krishna. He will give the prescription of medicine. That is the Vedanta Shastra, the Bhagavad Gita Shastra. We will take that and we will clear the disease and become healthy here afterwards. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. We will now conclude with another verse from the Bhagavad Gita meditation. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripatamaham vande paramanandamadavam. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.